Welcome to Visual Communications 115 Week 3. We are starting our movie poster tonight, and I want to ensure that everybody knows how to create a new file in Illustrator. And the first thing you would do is you would click File, New, and then you have some templates out here in the middle. However, if you want a custom size, you would just go over here to the right. Um, you would put in the width and the height what you would want to change her. For example, if you are trying to create a picture that you are wanting to print a 4x6, like let's say you want to create your Christmas cards in this program and you want to do it 4x6 and then you want to load it to CVS or somebody else in the world that's going to print these for you, you just go in here and you change the size to whatever you want. You can switch it between portrait and landscape. However, because we're in a movie poster and they've told us that we need to do this in 11x17 for this size, we're going to adhere to the directions. And the only thing you need to ensure is that you have inches selected, not pixels or points, because this is an 11x17 poster that you could still have printed out in a size at any local printer if you wanted to save your personal artwork. And then you would just click Create, and that would create an artboard in Illustrator that you could go in. Now from here, you have one artboard created in this one file. And what I'm suggesting that you do is you place your art from your poster sample that you have selected onto the artboard and lock it down so that you can create the shapes on top of it and it won't continue to move around. So let me show you how I would do that. I would click File, Place. You can also hit Shift Control P. I don't have all of the things memorized on the keyboard, but I know where to find them up in the top. This is a tool that is used almost every time I use Illustrator. So this is an important step. And when you click Place on this artboard, what it's going to allow me to do is to go and select a file. And in this aspect, I'm going to go to a file that I have downloaded from one of the students in this class. And I'm going to select that file and I'm going to click Place. What it's going to do is it's going to give me it feels like a crosshair to me, but it's asking me where I want to place the picture. Now, if I were to just click this, the picture would be placed right here in my artboard. And that's fine because you can go in here and you can resize it. However, if you don't hold down Shift, the file will resize into any weird shape that you want. So hold down Shift if you want to keep the proportion of the picture and you can size it to your artboard. However, another way to do this, and I'm going to delete that, is I'm going to ensure that my whole artboard is in my window before I hit place because I'm trying to not copy, but I'm trying to use this as a template. So now that I can see my entire artboard on here, I'm going to do File, Place again, and I'm going to draw this out on my complete artboard the way I want it to look first. And the way I'm going to do that is before I just click, I'm going to draw the square and it's going to proportionally make this file on my artboard. Now you can see that this file is bigger than my artboard, so you can make your own choices. And when you create a maybe a blue back for this picture, when you create it, you'll extend it over the whole entire piece. However, right now I'm just trying to get a starting point, so I'm going to make it cover my artboard. And the first thing I'm going to do before I start creating this is I'm going to lock this in place. The way I'm going to lock this is I'm just going to go under Object, Lock, Selection. Now I can come in here and I can create shapes on top of this. I can create text on top of this. And when I go back to my selection tool, it's not going to, when I pick this up and move it, it's not going to move my background at the same time because that is extremely annoying. And I can only tell you that I've had experience not knowing how to do that function. From this, you may decide that, hey, I really like this, but I need to make it smaller because I'm going to center it up on here. And I'm going to show you another tool that we haven't looked at yet in this program, and it's called the Layers palette. Now the layers, when I taught this years and years ago, I wasn't in Illustrator, but I was in Flash and we were doing animations. The way I can explain this to you is you think about it as like sheets of glass that are stacked on top of each other. And each one of those sheets of glass has a little piece of your artwork. What this helps you do, and I mean, you're already doing it and you don't realize it, is it helps you arrange the artwork. So let's say that you want one thing on the front and one thing in the back, but all you're able to do from this, when you right click a piece of art, is you're able to transfer it and you're able to arrange it to the front or the back if you have multiple layers. So for example, if I have this square right here, and then I have another piece of text on top of this, I'm going to make that red just so that for demonstration purposes. This is what 4 gigabytes of RAM will get you is a slow computer. Say I'm gonna make that 72. Um, I didn't mean to click that again. What this will allow you to do is to put things in front of and behind things. By right-clicking it, you can go to arrange, and I could send this backward one step, and it would move it back behind the square. However, let's say I have multiple things on here, and I want to rearrange what order they're in, or I've lost something, which can happen. Like, what if I accidentally right-clicked on the square, and I arranged it, and I just want it to go back behind the text, but I right click it and I hit arrange and I send to the back and it goes behind the poster back here. Well, then that's not going to help me because I can't see it anymore. So the way you can see your layers is you go to the layers palette. You can either click on the little icon that looks like a little graduation hat, but it's really like sheets of glass on top of each other, and that's what it looks like right here. Or you can go under Windows and you can select layers and bring up your layers palette. Now it's important that you see and you open up this layers and you're able to see all the layers that are on this artboard. And as you can tell right here, the one that has the little blue section beside it is the one that's selected on your artboard. So I can just go over here and I can select this layer and it now shows me that I have test selected. This is important because you can see that my black square is down here underneath my poster, and I want to bring it back up top. So you literally can pick up your layer and push it back up on top. And this is how you can keep multiple layers with multiple objects organized in one artboard. I'm only showing you one particular crosshair of where the layer can be. Usually when I'm finished with an art, especially in Photoshop, I'll have probably 4 or 5, if not more, layers that I can open up, and then there's multiple objects on that layer that I'm moving around in my artboard. So let's just look right here for just a second. I'm going to show you another way you can do this. See the background right here? You can click the toggle right here to lock it in the same place, and it'll lock this layer, and now I can't select this layer anymore. The reason why I'm showing you this is because if you select this layer and you want to unlock it, and for some reason it's not giving you an unlock, or you've got something else selected and you're not able to unlock it, or something happens, you can go to the layers and you can always unlock your layer and move it around. Every once in a while, I'll have something that's really tiny that I have locked in place. that I can't see, and when I keep moving an object around, it keeps getting stuck somewhere on my board, and I will have to go back into the layers and find that and unlock it and get it grouped back with a group. So just giving you a heads up on that. So once you get the background where you want it on here, like let's say I want the airplanes to be about that size. Then you can lock this layer or again go under object lock. And now you can come in here and you can create, maybe you start with the blue background and I'm going to create the blue background by creating my blue background. And I create, make it about that color. And then I can bring that back behind here so that I can see it behind this layer. Now I see this one up front, but I want to lock this one back again now so that I can work in front of it. But I'm covering the whole poster because I want the poster to be blue. Does anybody have any questions? Okay. After this, you're going to create the text that you're going to use on your poster by using the T like we've learned. You're going to, tonight we're going to learn how to use the pen tool and you'll probably outline some things. You can use the objects and you can create the objects on here as best you can. Like right here, I can see like there's a circle. You can go and group them together and change the colors of them and try your best. This doesn't have to be perfect. So what I'm trying to say is I think by Sunday, you're supposed to include this much in your zip file that you turn in for credit for the class. What I'm asking is that you at least create the 11 by 17 and you at least paste your template on here. Do that before you turn in all your work and then go under File, Save As, and make this your poster outline. And that's what they're asking you to do is they're asking you to turn a poster outline. So then you'll go and navigate to your folder. You'll go to your class, you'll do complete, and you'll go to week 3 and you'll add this to it. And this will be your poster outline. And you hit save. Oh, I forgot to put my name. Sorry. Now, if you do more, I'm okay with that, but I'm giving you at least a starting point. So this is your starting point for the file that you turn in this week. Hopefully you'll get more done because if I were you, I would working on this week because you have to take a picture of it and post it to the discussion by Wednesday. So in order to take a picture of it, you can either save out a JPEG or you can screenshot it, which I think is easier to save out a JPEG. So to save a JPEG out of this that you're going to when you get it finished and completed by next Wednesday, and I'll show this to you again, you'll just do File, Export As, and you'll export out a JPEG file by pulling down this menu and ensuring that you have JPEG selected, and then this would be your final poster final discussion. And that would go in the correct folder for next week. Okay? Does anybody have any questions about this before I close this file out?
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out how you did that again because I got two separate colors on my background.
On this one? Oh, okay, okay. So remember we did the gradient palette. So if I wanted to change this to a gradient, you could go to the gradients and you could put a linear gradient on there and you could choose which colors you were using. Double click on that and you can pick a different color and it would create a gradient for you for the back. Is that what
I
you're
mean,
asking?
starting like from when you had the picture up and then you put the square and pushed it backwards.
Oh, yeah. Are you talking about on the layers right here?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay, let me get through tonight's pen tool and then I'm gonna go back over this after I close out the video so it's not repeated on here. Is that okay with you?
Oh, that's fine.
I will ensure that you know how to do this. Okay, I'm going to cancel that one. I'm going to go to the traced shapes. Oh, you know what? First, I'm going to do something else. I did notice on your Ivy Learn under the modules. Now, you don't have to do this, so just watch for just a second. On this, there's a pen tool practice zip on here. And let me show you what that is. I'm gonna have to unzip it, I think. So you're watching me download something just like you would. Okay, so here's our practice files for the zip. I actually didn't know these were in here. I thought this was a grid. Okay, let me get up all three of them. Let's just start on the first one together. And this will be one pentool.ai. I'll give you 1 minute so that everybody can bring up that file just like I did.
The file is where on
Of course.
Ivy?
Um, it is under 115.3. Oh, my sweet Jesus. Okay. Um, it is under the 115.3 pen tool practice dot zip.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so we're starting on the pen tool tonight. Remember, I told you this is the groundwork for Illustrator. Everything in Illustrator is created with anchor points and paths. And those anchor points and paths can start from the shape tool. I think we started from the text and we turned it into an outline or retraced it. So that you can move your name around, and that turned it into paths. And then tonight we're going to use the pen tool and we're going to use the curvature tool. Now I'll just let you know that the curvature tool did not exist when Illustrator came out, so I never learned how to use the curvature tool. However, I find it very useful for making project like S curves. And we're going to do that. And the sample I saw that it was on here. I don't use it too terribly much because I don't typically make things in a perfect wave or S when I'm drawing. I usually just do it with a pen, but you may find that this tool is very helpful to you in your future illustration. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to ensure, and this is what I did wrong when I was creating the heart was when you hold down the pen tool, you'll notice that there's a pen tool, an add anchor point, a delete anchor point, and then the anchor point tool. This can be confusing because this anchor point tool does control the anchor points. However, the difference between the selection tool and the direct select tool, these can be confusing to people, is the first one just selects an object. So for example, let me put a square out here. If I wanted to just move the square around, I think this first tool ought to be called the move tool, technically. Because when you click on this first tool, you can move the object around. You can resize it. You can rotate it. You can do a little bit of work on the inside concerning the curves on it. However, if you want to control these anchor points and the paths between the anchor points, you have to do the direct selection tool. And when you select that, you'll see that the anchor points turn blue and you're able to move the anchor points around on this object by clicking on them and extending. And that's what I was doing wrong earlier was I had the pen tool selected and I accidentally had it on a delete anchor point and I didn't have it selected right. If I were going to make a heart now, I would just draw this, rotate it around. I didn't mean to do that. I meant to make a perfect heart, but let's just pretend it's perfect. And then I would go and I would select the path and I would pull it out. The pen tool, was it? That's what I was doing wrong was I was selecting, I don't know why it's not letting me select. Okay, I still don't know how to do a heart and I'm not going to do it right now. We'll do that afterwards. But on the pen tool, what you're supposed to learn tonight is how to create a path from the pen tool. And what you do is you click on the first dot, which should be 1, and it'll create 1 anchor point. Then you're going to pull down to 2, and it's almost like dot to dot when you're a little kid, and you're taking, but you're not holding the pencil down. You're letting go of the mouse, and you're coming and selecting another anchor point, and it's going to draw the between for you. So I'm going to click again and create my 3rd anchor point, and then I'm going to go and click on my 4th anchor point. I know that you're flipping back and forth screens and you're watching me and you're doing this at the same time. So I'm going to wait just a second and then I'm going to show you how to end the point because right now the point is loose and there's nothing to do but to continue to draw points. And that's really frustrating if you really just want to finish this path right here. So the way you have to get out of it, the way I get out of it, is I just go back and select the move tool, or V on your keyboard, which is the name of that tool. And that, in fact, stops the path and gives you the finished path for the first project on here. Now, I do want to say that you can see the white filled in between there, and I don't want that, and I didn't mean for that to happen, but the reason why that happened was because I have the fill tool on at the top, and I'm going to turn that off just by pulling it down and creating no fill. And when I do that, that will remove the fill on that path. You'll also
Is there any other ways to end the path besides going back
so
to
select the V on your keyboard.
okay.
Did that help?
It did.
Okay. So let's do another test and we're going to go back to the pen tool and we're going to just click the pen once to create an anchor point. Click 2, 3, 4. And then to get out of this, you'll either click the move tool, selection tool, or you can click V on your keyboard and it will end the path. Now these are called open paths because they don't have an endpoint on them. You'll notice that when you create a path down here, when you get to the end, it's going to give you a little open circle. That open circle is going to signify that, hey, I want to complete this as a closed path because a circle is a closed path. So I'm going to select the pen tool again, and I'm going to quickly go through, make my dot to dot, and then at the very end, you'll notice that my cursor changes to an open circle loop, and that is where I want the path to end. When I click that, it will in fact deselect that path. It'll know that I'm finished, but it's still on the path tool icon, so it thinks I want to make another path. So in order to stop it from making another path, when you click again, you can do the same thing and you can just select V on your keyboard and that will end the path and in fact make the selection tool select it automatically again. there's two square quote unquote diamonds down here. Instead of making the square, you can technically make it from scratch with the path tool, the pen tool by selecting the pen and just drawing the square down here at the bottom. Now I'm going to do something else right now. I'm going to turn on a fill and I'm going to show you how this can complete the path with the fill on. Oh, well, it did it to the first one, but if I do it again, it will also create the inside red as I go. Now, these can be really annoying because if you're trying to path out an object or a shape, I'm just going to make something like, let's say that I'm going around and I have a crossover and I can't see behind here. Like, let's say I'm doing let's say like I'm making a pie and I have like a piece of pizza out of it and I can't see it to trace it. So it's kind of tracing it around. You can turn this fill off again. You can double click on that fill right there and nope, not right there. You can have the selection tool and you literally will have to go up and select it to nothing. It's usually down here at the bottom where it'll let you select nothing, but mine isn't showing it right now. Is some of yours showing it down here? Because usually you can select the fill and the nothing fill right here at the very bottom of the toolbar. Nobody's is showing like that?
No.
No. Okay. Mm, don't know how to bring that up. Okay. What I do want you to notice is that the bounding box on this, when you're on the selection tool on this particular path, the bounding box is all the way around it. So on this path, you'll notice that the bounding box is around this one. On this one, you'll notice the bounding box. And this is important because you'll want to be able to see, and that's why I told you to close in your artwork as you go, because let's say that I create a text file and I overlap it with this. You'll see that I'm overlapping it with this file right here. And it could be that I'm having a hard time selecting it because one is in front of the other and I can't tell where the bounding box for that text box ends. And I could just randomly go out here and select it over here and it would still select the text box, which is confusing for somebody who's new in this. So I encourage you to close in your boxes and ensure that the only thing that you have in there is what you need to have shown.
So the layers, you can't use the layers on the text as well.
You can. You sure can. But look how many layers I have. Because they still have the original artwork showing through here. Look how they have the numbers on here. They're locked, so you can't move them, which is good for you because somebody locked it for you. But I could unlock this 6 if I wanted to, and I could go over here and then move this 6 around. And I'm showing you for demonstration purposes so that you can see what's happening on the artboard here. And this is why you're turning in your files as an Illustrator file because I can see the layers and I can see what you've done. Otherwise, I'm just going to assume you took a picture on it and placed it on here. And if you turn in a JPEG, I have no idea if you created it or not. Does that make
Are,
sense?
yes. Are both squares at the bottom supposed to be filled in?
No, it doesn't matter. I was just doing a demonstration to show you that you could fill them in. Okay, are we good with this page? This was just a sample page for us to practice the pen tool. I'm going to number 2.
Were we supposed to submit that when, or is it just for practice?
Just for practice.
No
Okay, now,
submission.
yeah, this one right here actually uses this curvature tool. And if you click the curvature tool, it works kind of like the pen tool, and it's going to feel like it's making a straight line, but it's actually going to make the curve for you. When you go from dot to dot, it's gonna fill in. No, it's not. Yeah, that's why I don't like this one. Let me go back just a little bit. I actually use this one. I go halfway up the curve and create it. And then when you go to the next dot, there really should be a dot in between these that's making the curve for you. You can kind of just go along the line. But you can see that this tool would be pretty handy if you were making a lot of curves in your. Okay, there we go. And you can kind of see it make the curve as you go, which is pretty helpful because you can hold it down and adjust the curve just a little bit with the anchor point. I didn't do that with the pen tool, but I'm going to do that next. So right now, when I click, I'm not letting go of the curve right away. I'm kind of moving it around to where I want the end point to be for the curve. And it's kind of giving me an option to make a little bit more control over this tool. Then when you get to the end, because this isn't a closed, you can just click V on the keyboard and it will end this line for us. Does anybody have any questions on this one?
Yeah, I do. So are we supposed to hold the left click down as we go?
Yeah, you can. I'm not holding it down on the first one. I'm letting go and then I'm doing it on the second one and then I'm holding it down just a little bit as I outline. Now you can see it's filling in and I didn't mean for it to do that again, so I'm going to go and unfill it. And now I just have the curvature tool. Now you can hold down the shift and it'll do a little bit more precise movements for you. So let me get out of this one. Go to the curvature again. It thinks I want to keep doing another path and I don't. This one is not my favorite tool because I can't maneuver it as good as I can the regular pen tool. So that's that tool, the curvature tool. And then the last option that we have over here is just a little bit more practice, and I'll just run through it real quick. The pen tool, moving from, I think they're just, oh, I see, they're doing the, okay, so I'm going to practice the pen tool on that was in between. That wasn't the line itself. I'm going to practice the pen tool without the curvature tool. And I'm going to show you how I use the pen tool by holding it down to adjust the anchor points as I go along. So on the pen tool, not the curvature tool. Let me lock this because it looks like it's not. Let me see if it's locked. Nope. Okay. You may have to lock yours too, or you can go below it and do the same thing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to attempt to make a wave without using the curvature tool by just using the pen tool. And I'm going to drop a point down. And when I create my next point, I'm going to hold it and pull out the handles of the anchor point and create the curve as I go. Now, what's tricky about this is this path is going to continue to go on the line that I click on as long as I'm holding it down. It keeps going. Now, what's going to happen is sometimes you'll create a big curve in your handles, and then when you get done, Illustrator wants to select for you where the next point goes and does some wonky shape for you in the pen tool that you can't get out of. It feels like you can't get out of it, but the way you do get out of it is you can go back and click the anchor point you were just on, and then it will allow you again to have control over where the pen tool is going on the board. So let me do that one more time. I'm just doing a demonstration. I'm using the pen tool. I'm creating my first anchor point, and for my next anchor point, I'm going to hold my left mouse down and pull it to create a curve in the anchor point with the handles. This takes some practice and some finesse. However, once you get a starting point, this is where I said the direct select tool comes into play. This tool right here can select those anchor points and the handles and move them around, and you can be very finite with your work and how you create it. So now I'm going to go back. You can see that I can select each anchor point, and when I select it, I have control over the handles and I can make little tiny adjustments to it. Let me zoom in so you can see what I'm doing. So this anchor point has two handles, and let's say it's kind of a bump right there. I can kind of come in here and smooth this out now and kind of move these around where I want them to be on the artboard to smooth out my work and make it look nicer. You can pull this in. You can see that if I pull it out a long ways, it can distort the image. But when I create it closer to the dot, I have a little bit more control over this line right here where it is. You can see I've been pretty messy on my path, but I can go in here and make adjustments to the handles and smooth this out so that it has the look and feel that I want it to look for my final project. I'm going to tell you that it's going to take a little bit of time for you to get used to this tool. And then knowing to go to the direct selection tool is kind of the key in using paths, because that gives you access to the anchor points to move them around and adjust the handles on them and make those pretty curves that you're looking for in your work. I also think this is going to make the difference between who the artists are in the class. Because you could spend hours adjusting this the way you want it to get it the look that you want. I'm gonna go back and view and fill this on my artboard. And you can see the last one looks a little bit more like this very first one up here because I've taken the time to come in here and move the points around and adjust it to make it look good. I'm just messing it up now. Does anybody have any questions about this tool? This is a really powerful tool. I'm gonna go in and I'm going to do these last two, and then I'm gonna go to the trace that we have due tonight. I'm gonna select the pen tool and I'm gonna go and hold down my mouse and I'm going to trace over this path down here. And then to get off of it, click V. And then you can go in and make adjustments by doing the direct select tool and adjusting the handles, making these curves prettier on this. Does anybody have a one of the pencils or the Wacom boards? You do have a wake. This will be fun to use the pen tool for because you can select the pen tool with the the pencil and then you can come over here and draw by pressing down. And I don't have like I used to have a Wacom board, but I gave it away because I never use it. Um, but you can adjust the press on your Wacom board and you can literally press and hold and draw these out, which is really nice. Very nice. Did y'all already learn how to do this in your high school class? Bayo is on here. I know he have you taken this before, Bayo?
Yeah, I did have a illustrator class before.
Is this the same way your teacher taught you how to do it?
The the pencil.
The pen tool.
I- In a way, yeah. Like she basically taught a whole lot of like draw out a line, then edit the line, and then or just do the line as it is. She taught a lot of stuff, but it was some time ago, so I honestly cannot remember most of it.
Oh, I'm gonna do my own little illustration here. Oh, that's way too far out. I'm just making my own drawing down here at the bottom by holding it down. I don't know, that's where I started. Okay, then I'm gonna go and make me a circle. I'm gonna hold down the shift key and I'm gonna make my flower right here. And once you create this path on the outside, you can see that you can go in and fill it in and create it however you want to. It's just doing a little bit of art right here. I'm not perfect by any means, but there's my flower. And you can see I can adjust this if I want to. Maybe Sarah. Okay. So that's kind of an illustration. If you didn't like the outline on it, you could go and turn the outline off now. The outline basically is on so we can draw the shape, but then you can go back and you can take them off and you can use the techniques that we've learned already and create your art on the board. Does anybody have any questions about these? You are going to have to practice this tool. This isn't a one-time done and I learned how to do the pen tool tonight and I now I'm an expert pro. Okay, so the two things that you have to turn in are trace shapes and the dog. So I'm going to do the dog a different way. I'm going to do the trace shapes first, and then I'm going to show you again how to place onto a picture so that you can work with your poster better. Basically, I'm just going to trace these shapes out. You could also create this umbrella. I showed you how to create a circle and how to create 3 circles and then delete the shape off and create this shape. Or you could just outline it with the pen tool like so by holding it down and create the paths along the line of this outline. Now you can guess, if you guess that this shape was locked, you would be guessing right. Now I do want to say something real quick. If you can all just look real quick and make sure that you see this particular technique. If you notice when I pulled this shape out and it created the handles, the next point that it wants to create is to follow that handle where it lands. So let's say that I move this handle up just a little bit. I'm going to show you an example. I didn't mean to delete it. I accidentally deleted it. You can go back to the pen tool and click on the last pen and last anchor point, and you can keep drawing your pen. So if you're watching, when I pull out this anchor point, the two handles on this anchor point by not letting go of the mouse, wherever that dot lands for the handle is where the path is going to go. So let's say I put the path over here. The next place it wants me to select my pen tool is after that handle. It's following the path of that handle, and that's why it looks kind of wonky sometimes. So if you needed to get off of that now, again, you can just click the anchor point and then it will give you control over where the next path goes. I'm going to hit Control Z, get out of that, and I'm going to continue along this and try to follow along the line and pull my path out so that I'm outlining this. And then when I get to the end, I make sure that the little white circle comes up and I end it. Not perfect, but there's my umbrella. If I wanted to make adjustments to it, I could go under the direct select path tool and I could move these handles around and make some adjustments in here on my pretty umbrella. And then I'm going to do the square really quick by selecting the pen tool, going around the block, and then closing it. And now I've created this. I'm going to hit B on my keyboard and I'm going to get off of this shape. Does anybody have any questions right now as to where we are on these outlines? Because I don't feel like I need to do all the outlines. I can, I'm gonna go through, well, I'll go through them with you real quick. Okay, so I'm going to accidentally do this wrong, and I'm going to show you how to switch between, I'm going to show you how to use the other tools on the pen tool now for your work for your own sake. The add anchor tool point tool is exactly what it says. It can add anchor points. The delete anchor point will take anchor points off. And then the anchor point tool will actually switch between a curve and a point. Add an anchor point. Let me demonstrate that. So I'm going to select just the pen tool right quick. And I'm going to start maybe right along in here, and I'm going to outline this path. And I'm going to click a lot of dots right here because I don't need this many dots, but I'm just doing it like if you didn't know how to make the curves yet and you were just trying to outline this with little dots. And then I'm going to make an area where I need to add a curve. And I didn't mean to make it white again. I don't know why it keeps defaulting to white, but let me close this real quick and I'll turn that off. It's because I have the white on. And I can't do it right there. But I can turn it off by selecting that tool and ensuring that I have the white unfilled right there. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the add anchor points. And well, I'm going to show you first of all that I can move these around all day long, but it's not going to create this design the way I want it to. The only way I can create this design is to go and add more points to be able to get into these little nooks and crannies right here. And then on this section over here, I can sit here and move 100 different dots to outline this, but it would be easier if I just went and created a couple points to make that point right there. Like I don't really need 3 points to make 1 point in the artwork. So an easy way to do that is with the plus and the minus. So with the anchor added, I can come in and add points on here so that I can control this area over here more. And I can go and use the delete anchor points, and I can delete anchor points off of my illustration and take them out of the work. So let's say I just needed that one. Then it can go back to the direct select tool and I can move these around where they need to go in order to create the design. Like right there, I got too many points going from this point to this point. It's just a straight, and I want to ensure it's completely straight and there's not some weird funky thing going on here. So I'm going to take out some of the points and only have 2 dots that represent 2 anchor points to make sure that it's because I'm not zoomed in and I can't see it. Let me take out this one. And that one's already gone. Okay. Now right here, I can come back and use the direct select tool and I can pull these into place now by selecting the anchor point and moving it where I need it to go. Here we go. So look, getting better. I need to add one right there so that I can pull that shape out. And let me pull this out right here. Now, you can see that my nose is kind of snotty because it has a square down here at the bottom. So you can only do so much with the smoothing out right there. You can use that tool, which will control the handles just a little bit. But another thing you can do is switch this from a solid corner to have handles. And the way you do that is by going to the anchor point tool. When you do that, it'll flip this around to have, you can pull it out and now you can have handles on this point and you can adjust the curvature of this tool. Clicking on it and holding it down and it'll create the handles that you need for that anchor point to be able to make the adjustments for the curves. Does anybody have any questions? This is probably one of the hardest parts of Illustrator, but it's also one of the foundational points of Illustrator. Y'all are hanging in with me?
Yes.
Give me some
Yep.
love. Come on, hearts. Thank you. Okay, so I'll let you practice the pen tool on these. These aren't too, it's not too terribly shabby. But just do me a favor and just go in here and make yours a different color because I can tell that these are lighter gray and this is black, but maybe you just want to do a little bit of art and fill in your umbrella and make it blue. Make your bottom part brown. You can use the palette. You can go to the color palette down here and you can hand click a color down into the browns for the red. And then here I made my umbrella. I don't particularly like the outline a lot, so I turn it off a lot. But there you go. Make your first shape. You can put them together. If you want this behind your umbrella, 2 ways. You can either right click it and arrange it. If there's only a couple shapes, it's okay. Send it backwards or send it to the back, which will be all the way back. If you have a lot of layers, you can come over to the layers palette and you could just simply move this one up or move it back behind there and control the layer of it. I'm going to move on. We've been going hot for about an hour, and I'm going to bring up the dog poster or the dog picture and go through one more tool tonight. And then I'm going to shut this video off and help you all one at a time, and I'll probably finish this up for anybody who needs that. So,
Quick question. This one, we can have it like the umbrella that you just did. It doesn't have to be exactly perfect like the outline.
that's
Thank
right.
you.
Yeah, sure. Now that you'll notice on these that there's more than one path. So let me just do this one. There's 3 different paths on, oh, actually, there's the cutout shape right there. So you can treat this 2 different ways. You could create this outline right here, and then you could go and create a box, and you could subtract out that shape. Or you could just you could use the pen tool and just create a white box on top of it. So I'm just going to run through it real quick and, oh, see, I got this on again. Why doesn't it give me the option up here to turn that off? Because it should. It should just give me an option to cut it off. I feel like I had that option before and now I don't have it anymore. Okay. So let's say you messed up midstream and you would go back to it. So pen tool, just select the last anchor point and then it'll allow you to continue working on your path. This is why I don't like the curvature tool so much, because there's not really any path that is just curves. Not typically. Most of the time, the paths that you're going to create have both hard corners and curves. So there's my first one. I'm going to click V to get off of it so that I can see that. You can go and create the square right here by selecting the pen tool and just creating a little square. Huh. And then the circles, um, just to be faith. I will say that on the circles, you really can go to the 4 points, because if you can imagine a square inside of here, you're really drawing a path. And if you hold down the anchor points, you can create the curves for that. Now, what's going to happen is you're going to get this wonky thing at the end, and you can just go back and click the anchor point and it'll get rid of that, but you can hold the curve down and create it exactly the way you want to on this using the pen tool and pulling out. If it gets wonky like that, see, it's not giving me, it kind of is, but let's say it's not following exactly. You can unclick it and pull it out and then. Okay, thank you. Thank you. I appreciate
You're
that.
welcome.
And then to make the adjustments again, go back to the direct select tool, and this one, because there was no handles when I created it, you can go back and create the handles by clicking on the anchor point and pulling it, and it'll give you the option of the handles that aren't there currently. A couple of them I didn't do that on. And then finite little picking up and moving. The other thing you can do is you can move the path in between them like that. That's how we were supposed to do the heart. So we were supposed to create the square, the rectangle. And what I wasn't doing was I wasn't going back to the select tool and pulling it out, but you can, let me turn this just to give an example. They were pulling the path out, and I, for some reason, am still having a hard time doing this, and I don't know why. If you hold down the shift key, it will give you straight lines. I don't think I'll ever learn how to make a heart. I don't think it's in mine. Babe, do you know how to make a heart? I don't know why. Maybe. Oh, I see. I have to be on the. Okay. So it's doing the anchor point tool also addresses the straight lines and the handles. So you have to be on the anchor point to go to a path to be able to pull that path out. And that's how they did the heart. But they hold down the shift key and they made it perfect, which I didn't do on my first one. So let me do that to the square right here. You select the anchor point tool and you can select that path and pull it out. I'm going to hold down the shift key and make it a perfect rounded area. There we go. And now I created a heart. Yay! Everybody give me some claps. Finally. Created my hearts tonight. Thank you. Oh my goodness gracious. Okay, I'm going to leave this and I'm going to go to the dog because that one takes just a few minutes too. But I'm going to place the dog on here. So we've been just opening files and I showed you one time already how to place a file for your movie poster and how to lock it down. I'm going to go through that process again. I think Devon, you had this question earlier about how to get your artwork placed, your movie poster placed on the artboard. So I'm going to create a new file. And this time I'm going to create an 8.5 by 11 just to have a different size. It should be pre-templated over here where you can just select a letter. And I'm going to ensure that it's in portrait mode. And I'm going to click create. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to place the dog picture on my artboard. So I'm going to do File, Place. I'm going to navigate to my Downloads folder. And I'm going to click the dog sketch, which you can see is a JPEG file, and I'm going to hit Place. I can either click the dog file, which will show you how big this file actually is, which is pretty small, or I can drag it out and place it on my artboard in the size that I want it, which I'm going to make it pretty big because I want to see the dog. He's actually still kind of small to me, so I'm going to hold down my shift key and I'm going to make him bigger. Now, just so you know, you can go outside your artboard right here. This is what I'm talking about. Down here, there's supposed to be these tools that you can flip between the what somebody actually sees when they don't see the background. And I will go figure out how to do that because it's a different mode of viewing your artwork. You can view it in preview mode, and mine is not showing up down here. I wonder if it's under a different workspace. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so I changed my workspace because I was looking for these three attributes down here for this fill right here. You can actually click this fill. You can just, because it's selected on the front, you know that the fill is selected and not the outline. You can click the outline and you can see that I can bring the outline to the front. But right now I want to control the color of the fill. And then you can just go and click none, and it automatically clicks it for you without having to go through the whole selection of selecting something and having to go up to the top. So this is kind of just a shortcut down here, but it didn't show up until I changed views. And I just went underneath the Essentials workspace. The other thing that it does down here is it flips. You can hold this down and you can switch between presentation mode and normal screen. In presentation mode, it would be like me showing you my artwork, and it's only going to show me what's on my artboard, and it's going to ignore all this extra white stuff that's on the outside. That kind of gives you an idea. If you've created a project and you just want to see what it looks like real quick, it puts you in a presentation mode. I'm going to hit escape and get out of that and come back. So it just went back, but you can see that I placed this on my artboard, and now I'm going to go and lock it. I'm going to go to Object and lock the selection so that it doesn't move. And now I'm going to go in and I'm going to trace this guy. How do I place it? You do File, Place. You select the file, you hit place, and then you'll be able to draw it out on your artboard like this. Does that make sense? Did that answer your question?
And you said we're gonna trace.
Yeah, we're going to trace this. Okay, so I'm going to zoom into it because I'm not a very good tracer, but I'm going to show you one more tool to help you on your journey of Illustrator. I do want to go back to, I'm pretty sure, nope, this is the tool that we're learning, the width tool. Okay, so it does have the same tools lined up over here on the Classic, but I'm going to flip back just so that I don't confuse anybody. I'm going to go back to the Essentials Classic. And I'm going to go over the width tool tonight, along with, this is the width tool. When you hover over it, you can see that it changes the thickness of the path where you are. And you can see like this is thinner and then it feels like it gets thicker through time. So I'm going to go to my path tool, my pen tool, excuse me. It should be called a path tool. And I'm going to path this little eyebrow out. You can path it all the way out, or you can see where there's like some of the paths have ended. But for my illustration right here, I'm gonna finish out the little section of the eyebrow. And I can just tell you right now, this is gonna look really bad the first time you do it. It takes a lot of patience to get through learning how to use the pen tool and getting things adjusted exactly the way you want it. This will also make you appreciate illustrators and the work they put into these projects. Okay, so I'm going to fill this just so I can see it. I think I forgot to select it first. Okay, so here's my sketch. Now, let's say that I want to make this a little bit thicker on this parrot right here. You can just go and select the width tool and it will adjust the thickness of the line where you've created your artwork by clicking on the anchor point and pulling it out. I think you can just click on the path tool and just pull it out, but you can make little adjustments on here. Now my outline is a different color from my art, my line art. So there's my finished product. I'm going to show this to you by doing just a line real quick. I'm pretty sure I can do it on the line too. Let's just show you what's happening is I'm just selecting a point in my line and I'm able to change the thickness of this line wherever I use this width tool in the point. So I just created 2 points right here. But let's say like in the middle here, I want it to bulge out just a little bit. You can just click into that area and bulge out and you can create width dimensions within your line segments that you're creating. And you'll want to play with that and use that for different portions. So for example, you can see that this one gets a little bit thicker and it's pointier on the end here. So let's say I'm going to go and just going to outline this just a little bit with my pen tool. I'm going to select V, and then I'm going to go and change the width of it inside here, and I'm going to pull it out to this size of the eyebrow without having to trace it all the way around. There we go. Um, I'm going to do an open-ended path right here and hold it down. I hate that it does the fill because I always forget to hit the fill and I'm in a but let's say I'm done with that path. You can just click on the V or you can go in here. You can adjust the width of it. So it's a little bit thicker right here in this area. Oh, I actually didn't. I made it thinner. Didn't mean to. I know you are going to have to zoom into some of these because sometimes if you don't zoom in, the program doesn't do exactly what you want it to do in that area. Ooh, I didn't mean to pick up the whole thing. This is just do your best on this. I'm not you're not going to be able to do perfection on this, but it's a lot of just drawing around. At least get his nose and his eyes and his ears. Like just practice using the pen tool. And this will be an ongoing project. I'm going to finish the video now so that I can talk to you one-on-one after the class and help people through these couple projects. Does anybody have any questions that we need to include on the video?
I have a quick one. I don't know if I missed this, but is there a way for us to join two separate paths together?
Oh,
Like
yes.
two open paths.
Yeah. So, okay, two different things I want to say. I'm pretty sure that under the Pathfinder, you can still join things together regardless of whether they're no, that did not work. Let me go back and do it my way. Okay, the way I would do it if it was not two things that needed to be joined together like that is I would group them. So let's say I want these two to be together, but they're still two different paths. I would right click it and I would group it. And that way when I move them around, it's two objects that move at the same time. You can also see under the layers palette, and I think because I moved around a little bit, the layers, there it is right there. You can see that there's still different files. So like inside here, you can see that these are still different objects, but they're grouped together and will work together as one group. Does that make sense?
Yeah, thank you.
Okay. You're welcome. All right. For tonight, I'm going to conclude this. If you'll stay on for just a minute, I have something to share in the Zoom meeting with us. But if you have any other questions, please email me and I'll be happy to help you through getting these. I do want to reiterate that we have 7 files due tonight. I'm just going to say it one more time under the 115.3 submission link, which is the last one. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 listed. And then if you remember, we had a demonstration of a clipping path on here, clipping file. And if you include that, I'll give you 10 extra bonus points. And thank you for sticking with me through this. I'm going to end the recording and then we're going to talk again.